gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
We'll see how that goes. Let's jump into the NFL and what we saw yesterday before we hit the NCAA, because I'm just going to get it out of the way. I'm going to get it done. I have no idea what the hell I watched on Sunday, okay? Don't text me. Don't say, what the hell was that? I thought you said Penn. I get it, okay? I know. This was the first time I've ever sat there and said, what the hell are you doing, Michael? There were multiple instances in this game where I was like, this kid is not here today. I don't know who this kid is. Does he have a twin brother that he lost a bet to? I don't know. But this isn't Michael Penix. This was not Michael Penix. This is not the Michael Penix we have seen in the beginning of his career. All of the poise and grace that I've talked about him playing with was not there. And I don't know if it's just the city of Carolina that got under his skin. I don't know. But this kid looked like he was scared in his boots all game long. And Atlanta loses 30-0 because of it. And we see Kirk Cousins reach the field again because of it. And everybody in the media now is wondering the same question. Is Kirk now the starter? No. Raheem Morris quickly snuffed that out in the post-game presser, and he was not happy, rightfully so, because that was an awful game from Atlanta. And when you really look at the stats, too, which is what really bothers me, you would think losing 30-0 would mean that Bryce Young and Chuba Hubbard and all these guys just ran roughshod over Atlanta. No. The offense maybe scored twice, and the rest of it was done by the defense and special teams. And at this point, I really don't know what to do. If you're Atlanta, there's so many issues that I cannot wrap my head around. I mean, how do I put this? Sparky's team in week 1 may have lost 30-0 to the Colts. But at least the Colts now look like probably the best team in the AFC South, and we'll get to that in a second as well, and are 3-0. This was a Carolina Panthers team that arguably won't even be sniffing a wild card spot, and you lose 30-0. Oh, and by the way, fire the kicker again, too. We dropped Young Hoku for Romo. Granted, Romo hit 5 for 5 against the Minnesota Vikings, but he hooks 2 easy field goals in the first half. Fire him. He's done. I'm sorry. There is no way we keep that kicker. I'm sorry. I had to get my grievances out of the way. Did you get to catch any of this or
I did.
Highlights?
I did, and I was going to say thank you because in my what is it called? Not the dynasty. We're the one and done picks. Mm-hmm. I had Atlanta before kickoff, and you recently told me, I think it was Friday's show, said stay away from that game. Mm-hmm. It's a trap game, and I took your advice and I took him out, but sadly. I put in Green Bay.
Don't get me... Oh.
So I still lost one of my 2 spots. So luckily...
That was the shocker of the weekend.
Luckily, I still have one spot. But yeah, what the hell?
We will get to that in a second. But I have not seen Atlanta look that bad in a football game in quite some time. I hope the benching of Michael Penix works because you need to shake this kid up and say, get back to your usual self. I better see 4 touchdowns out of you next game. But at this point... You just wash it away. Like I told my friend yesterday, I'm just going to pretend that was a bye week. We're done. It's over. And then next time they play Carolina, we better win 40-0. Because if you don't, I'm going to have some words. But let's move on from that game because no one cares about Atlanta or Carolina, even though Carolina won only pulling up 224 yards. 200 yards, and they beat you 30-0. Make it make sense. Anyways, let's move on to a different game, though. A little bit of a higher point here for the Steelers, at least. Aaron Rodgers pulls in front of Brett Favre in total touchdowns on his career with 509, beating the New England Patriots 21-14. Although, for those of you who are out there that didn't watch this game, Pittsburgh didn't score for like 30, 40 minutes.
40 minutes of no points.
That isn't a good sign. You
Pittsburgh
may have
does not
won
look
this
good.
game, and you got defense is what kept you in it. 5 turnovers by the Pittsburgh defense, really ran roughshod over Drake May and the running backs specifically. I mean, there were 2 major fumbles by Stevenson, especially one, I believe, either to end the first half or was in the third quarter. I can't remember. No, I'm sorry. It was the third quarter because the interception by Drake May is what ended the half. Both of those could have easily given New England the win in this game. So realistically speaking, if you're looking at this from Mike Tomlin's perspective, Arthur Smith's perspective, you at least did enough to get the win. But I would not exactly ride off on your horse expecting that to be something that impressed people. Nobody is seeing this as a very impressive win by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I can honestly say I'm one of those people only because 40 minutes straight of no scoring in the NFL, especially with a guy like Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, I don't care how old Aaron is. That's concerning. But that's also Arthur Smith football. If you've ever seen Arthur Smith actually as a head coach or an offensive coordinator, he usually runs you out. He's not a guy that usually runs up the score. So maybe this is just something we should get used to in Pittsburgh. But I would say that you can't exactly expect your defense to come out and have 5 turnovers every single game to save you the game.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, I will say, in my opinion, I just don't see it with Pittsburgh's offense. And it's the same thing with Kansas City. You know, they're pulling out a win, but it's an ugly win, and against a team that you should have put 30, 40 points on.
Yeah, you should have put them in the dirt easily. Now, the other question I want to pose to you as well, being a Dolphins fan that you are, and I know you've said this in the past, but are you starting to fade off of this New England Patriots kind of dark horse team mentality? Personally, I don't think they're that bad. Now, granted, 5 turnovers isn't anything to be happy about, but if you look at the first 3 games that they've played, each and every one of them is a 1-possession game that they could have won. One of them they won already against your Dolphins. And honestly, I think if Vrabel and McDaniels can clean this stuff up, especially the mental mistakes and the turnovers that happened at the worst possible times, New England can turn this season around. It's only 3 weeks in.
I mean, dark horse, I would probably say they're still a 500 team. I think the good thing for them is they have an easy schedule.
Yes. And
they have plenty of time to clean some stuff up. And they're making games closer than they probably would have last year. So, I mean, I'll probably still roll that they're probably a 500 team, maybe a game over. But depending on, you know, Drake May, I'm not sold. That's the only thing I'm not sold on is Drake May. I don't see it.
Really?
I just don't think he's the future in New England.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I think that during his rookie season, we saw more flashes of what could be some high potential. And this year, at least in the first 3 games, we've seen some solid play, but nothing to really show that he's going to be over the top amazing like some of these people say that he would be. I think he's a pretty good, solid starting quarterback. I wouldn't say he's ever going to be an elite quarterback in the league, but he's definitely someone you can rely on. I just feel like these small mistakes are just those types of mistakes, the penalties, the turnovers. Obviously, you want to clean that up. And when you do clean that up with a young team, traditionally, they're able to turn it around and actually start winning football games. And New England, like you just said, has a very easy schedule. So this whole dark horse mentality, I think a lot of Patriot fans are starting to feel like, oh, Lord, here we go. We're going back to being at the bottom of the barrel again. I wouldn't freak out too much. I really wouldn't. Holding the Pittsburgh Steelers to 40 straight minutes of not scoring, and to be honest with you, the last 3 games coming down to 1 possession, and you staying in those games, I think that you're actually in a good spot to really start making those leaps forward to becoming at least a playoff team. So I wouldn't necessarily just throw away your hopes and dreams right now if you're a New England Patriots fan. I think there's a little bit left to hold on to. But at this point right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers game, unfortunately, you end up losing this situation because of the 5 turnovers. So at this point, Vrabel and McDaniel have to figure out how to clean that up first.
And like you said, those penalties are killing them too.
Yes.
If it wasn't for the turnovers, those penalties in key moments were killing them.
Absolutely. And again, the small mental mistakes that usually get wiped away when it comes to when experience is brought in, reps are brought in, and just being able to figure it out on offense and get into a rhythm. I think McDaniels could figure that out here in the next week or so, I would hope. But if they can, if they can come out here in week 4 and pull off a W and go 2-2, I think they're right back in it to be at least a contender for one of those wild card spots.
I can see it.
So
then luckily next week, the Jets and the Dolphins, one of them have to get a win.
I mean, at this point, we saw it on Sunday night, so let's hope that the Dolphins could be the one to get that win, because the Jets didn't look that great either, although they took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right to the end of it. And again, I'm going to harp on this until I die. Y'all really think Tampa Bay is a Super Bowl contender, huh? I don't know. We'll see. Where do we want to go next? Honestly, you know what? No, I know exactly what game we got to go next. Unfortunately, the Rams are just beside themselves right now, and rightfully so, because the Philadelphia Eagles continue to break their hearts every single chance they get.
That was a wild game.
Losing a game on back-to-back blocked field goals, including the second one going back for a touchdown, which was completely unnecessary. I loved it, though, because it gave me more fantasy points, so good on you, Jordan Davis.
Me too.
But completely unnecessary.
That's what Evan Cohen was saying this morning. He said he shouldn't have needed. He didn't need to do that.
He didn't even need to do that. He just needed to lay on the ground.
I loved it.
Big boy needs to get his touchdown, though. But the biggest thing to me, and it continues to come up in conversation, I see a lot of people talk about it now in game as well, the brotherly shove. Now, again, I've been very vocal about saying get good about beating it and allow the defense to do different things to beat it. I'm all for that. If that really means that your defense should be able to dive at the offense's legs and essentially do a chop block themselves, do what you got to do, big boy. However, there have been highlights of this one situation that I have to bounce off you, Sparky, and I wish we had video on the video side so I could show it to you guys. There is a legitimate gripe against this. Right guard, Tyler Sheen, multiple times in the last 3 weeks, I've watched each and every game. Offsides, false start penalty, and it never gets called. And it is blatant. And I mean blatant. And I get it, you got Lane Johnson right next to you, so you got the best right tackle in the game. So who knows, maybe just having him there, or referees just say, we won't look at that side at all. But that needs to stop.
Yeah, it's been a gripe, and that was why the NFL came out before this week and said that they were going to keep an eye on it, and it's
that's
still
a lie.
Nothing.
That's clearly a lie.
I saw it. I've seen it last week, too. It was worse.
Apparently, they told the referees to stop looking at PI, too, because there were a lot of blatant PI calls at the end of this game, including one of Adams in the end zone, which led to the touchdown that gave them the lead, the Rams, and a Puka Nacua hold at late in this game.
He gets away with that a lot.
Well, they were holding him this time.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point I was making. They overlooked a lot of stuff with the Eagles. I know that the Kansas City Chiefs get a lot of love, apparently, from referees, as the internet loves to say. But it's starting to look like the Philadelphia Eagles are the team that really gets the love. And if I'm the NFL, I'm telling referees, you better call every single game or every single call in week 4. If I see a single missed call, especially a PI, ticky-tack, I don't care. You better call that. The Philadelphia Eagles are now 3-0, and a lot of people are angry because it seems to me, or it doesn't seem to me, I'm sorry, it seems to them that the NFL and the referees are having something to do with it. And the brotherly shove is already hard enough to defend. You can't allow them to jump off sides too, especially in short yardage situation. That needs to be a flag, back them up 5. And honestly, that's probably what's going to stunt the Eagles with this brotherly shove thing, is once they actually have to go on the snap count, maybe defenses will be able to stop it more. Maybe you won't be as successful with it. We'll see, but I saw it multiple times in that game.
I still don't think they'll stop it, but that's just me. I saw I didn't watch as much of it this week, but I saw the still photos of it on NFL Network after last week's game, after Kansas City complained about it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, it's clear as day that they're offsides. But, I mean, still, I will say that the NFL is going to have to do something about it. I just don't see it happening this year.
Do you think that the best way to go about this is to make the brotherly shove, or at least the QB sneak, whatever you want to call it, a not reviewable play, but a mandatory reviewable play? So especially in these short yardage situations. And that goes for penalties as well. not just necessarily where he landed or where he ended the drive,
Where they line
but
up.
where they line up, if it was done legally, all of that stuff. Do we need to actually have people from up top look at this play every single time it's ran?
I just don't see it happening.
I don't either. It's too much work. And that's why I'm saying that you're more than likely going to get it banned before anything. And actually, surprisingly enough, I heard Clay Matthews actually speaking out about it now, wanting it removed. That was the most recent player I've seen actually come out and say, yeah, maybe we should just get rid of it. And
It's so funny. There's no middle ground with this.
No.
You're either against it or you're with it. And I think I thought after the NFL stepped in last week saying, they're gonna keep an eye on it more, and they didn't.
No.
So I just don't know if this is gonna be just a season-long hype until they finally do something about it. And even Goodell was talking yesterday, I think it was during the Dallas game, that he was saying that as of right now, they're not even looking into it after this season. That it's not even a question right now that they're.
No.
I was like, okay.
He could say that right now, but I can promise you that this is going to be one of those rule changes that are brought up by teams, much like what we saw this last offseason when it came to a lot of moves the playoff changes that Detroit wanted and all of these other major kickoff changes and stuff like that. A lot of that is team driven. So at this point, if you don't think there are teams that are going to be crying out saying we need to ban this play, oh, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy.
And they only needed, 2 more votes?
Yes. And honestly, they're probably going to get those votes this year when new teams have to face this play and realize, oh, yeah, no, we don't want this in football at all. And again, yes, it's going to come down to they just run it better than everybody else and no one can stop it.
Exactly.
And Chris Jones came out very vocally the other day, too, saying that play that he was complaining about they ran 7 times in a row was not the brotherly shove. I don't know about that one. But again, the frustrations, you see it every single week from defensive players, especially that there's really not a whole ton they can do to stop it. And when you allow guys to false start on the play, Tyler Sheen, right guard,
makes it harder.
Watch it every single time, I promise you. Every time. Watch him. Now, the second time he didn't do it, but the first one, oh yeah. And that one was more pivotal. It was a 4th and 2. Would have backed him up to 4th and 7, made him force them to kick a field goal instead of probably getting a touchdown that drive. So I don't know. It's going to be reassessed. It always will be every single year. But when it came down to the final play of this game, it really didn't matter what the brotherly shove did. It mattered what the offensive line of the Rams did on those special teams plays, and they let you down twice in a row. That is heartbreaking. And I don't know which one was worse. I really don't know which one was worse, the loss yesterday or the 2024 divisional series. I really have no idea. But at this point, if you're a Rams fan, I would hang your hat on this. You've taken the Super Bowl champions to the limit twice in a row, in which you've really lost on the last snap of the play. That, to me, shows that you can beat them on any given Sunday. If you guys meet in the playoffs, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I would be worried.
Yeah.
That's just me. Are the Colts for real? And are they now the best team in the AFC South? We'll talk about it after the break. But first, we got to talk about that Sunday night game we saw last night, as we saw essentially the closest thing to the Hunger Games you're ever going to see. The NFL putting two lambs out to slaughter, saying one of you is going to start 0-3. Who's it going to be? The Chiefs and the Giants. Patrick Mahomes against Russell Wilson. And it ended pretty much the way we all thought it would. The Chiefs end up pulling it out in pretty convincing fashion in the second half. We're able to get the offense going finally. And honestly, the Giants defense is doing everything it can. This team, every time I look at it, between the defense, Scattaboo, the wide receivers, they have everything. All they need is the quarterback. They genuinely do. I don't know why Daniel Jones didn't work out from what we see in Indy. It's kind of weird to think that Daniel Jones is 3-0, Saquon Barkley is 3-0, and the Giants are 0-3. And at this point, everybody's crying for the same thing. Where's Jackson Dart? And it's kind of warranted.
You think he's next? He's ready?
I don't think he's ready. But I think at this point, it's the only way for Brian Dable to save his job. Because I know you know what you get with Russell. But Russell's deep ball is gone. You saw it last night. He's trying to chuck it deep to Malik Neighbors. And I know Malik is fast, but he ain't that fast. He ain't overrunning these routes. They're being underthrown multiple times. He only threw, I believe, 2 picks last night, but he should have thrown 4. There was one in the end zone that got tipped when Neighbors also got ran into by the defender, or by the safety, and got his clock cleaned. But regardless,
Yeah, that was ugly.
it was one of those bang plays that you don't want to see, but at the same time, where was the ball? Because it wasn't thrown where you would hope it would be. It was thrown short. Russ isn't the same Russ. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The game in game 2 against the Cowboys, although looked flashy, I wouldn't exactly take that as prime Russ is back. No.
You're playing Dallas D that does not look good.
No, especially without their top 2 corners again. So,
Diggs down again. But yeah, I mean, that game was so ugly. I ended up changing it.
Did you really?
After the third quarter, I was like, all right, it looks like the Chiefs are going to do it. After hearing the Giants fans, we want Dart, and even the booing every time Russell came on the field. Even they talked to Coach DeBall after the game. He said, I'd be booing too. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just doesn't look like Russ is the one.
No, not
and
at all.
I think you're right. The D ball is definitely gone. But second of all, it looks like it's just in his head now. And even the funniest part was Chris Jones had mentioned he never had a jersey swap with Russ. He always wanted a Russ jersey. Mm-hmm. And they talked to him after the game. He said, I don't want that one. I don't want that one. I just don't want Russ's jersey right now. Mm-mm. But, I mean, Kansas City, if it wasn't for that defense coming up in big stops, I mean, they even look mediocre.
At times.
Yeah.
But
and it looks like Mahomes is just running for his life to make plays. And I don't know if it's the missing of Rashee Rice or just out of sync. I mean, it's only 3 games. I get it. And we've seen the Chiefs start off slow. But do you think the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs we're expecting?
No, I don't think this is the Chiefs team that everybody's expecting, because everybody's so used to seeing the Chiefs back when they were winning Super Bowls. And they said it last night during the broadcast. I can't remember if it was Collinsworth but it really doesn't matter. But they kept highlighting the frustrations that you see on the sidelines, especially between Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. And to be honest with you, both of them have very good reason to be frustrated with what's going on. Travis is not playing like Travis. So Andy obviously is going to get very frustrated with that, because you're the best receiver we got, kid. And Travis isn't getting the ball, and when he is getting the ball, it's not the same plays that he used to get. So obviously it's not really working, and when the ball is thrown to other guys like Juju and Hollywood Brown, it's not working out like it used to when you had Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman. So he's getting frustrated. They're not scoring as much. It's not as fun to play with this team. So clearly there's going to be frustrations and butting of heads, but I don't think it's necessarily that they're not meshing. It's because they're both so competitive, and much like us, everybody has such a high bar for this Chiefs team. When you don't reach that, it's frustrating. When you're allowing the Giants to stay with you, it's frustrating. Like we said, this game should never have been on Sunday Night Football, to be completely honest with you. When you look at it in the game, it shouldn't have been this game. It should have been a completely different one. We don't know which. I'm not going to
luckily we get a good Monday night game, hopefully,
absolutely,
with the Lions and Ravens. But going back to that Sunday night game, it was just ugly.
Yeah. And I mean, 2 0-2 teams trying to avoid being 0-3. Obviously, that's what's going to happen. But if you're the Kansas City Chiefs and Fantasy Frank, you'll take it and run like a thief, because it's your first win all year. And it's one that you desperately need right now to get back on track and get everybody meshed and ready to go. Because if you have Andy Reid and Travis Kelce biting each other's heads off on the sideline every single week, I don't think this is going to be a very good year for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially with the LA Chargers looking like the LA Chargers right now. And John Harbaugh has been able to create Michigan football in the NFL. That's essentially what it is. It's game management, clock management, run the football, tough-nosed defense. Chargers have figured it out. And you know what's great about it? They figured it out on the defensive side without their best player. That's the scariest part to me. But the Chiefs need to figure it out right now. The Giants need to make a move. Personally, this is the question I wanted to pose to you. Do you think we're going to see Jackson Dart get called to the starting spot before Brian Dable gets fired?
I think we get Dart now.
You think we get Dart next week?
I would expect it. Yeah. I know last week they had talked about it, and then Russ came out and looked good. But I think he's done. I think that if DeBall wants to keep his job, this is going to be the change of scenery where he needs to change the quarterback, get Jackson Dart a full week of practice with the reps, and throw him in there. Because I think that's his last straw to keep that job. And I'm glad you brought that up because I still want to get to the Browns win. But our first text of the day said, what coach do you think will be fired first? Is it the Titans, Jaguars, Giants, or even the Dolphins? And you could throw in Pete Carroll in the mix. I don't think Pete Carroll is in
Pete's
the mix.
Pete's not going anywhere.
I think it's just the Raiders. It's a whole new scheme, new coaches, new everything. And I think Pete is safe. But going down this list, I know the Titans game, I heard them chanting, fire their coach. I think
it's a little early to fire the Titans coach as well.
Yeah. I was looking at the stats. He's 3-17 as the head coach. I still think it's early. We got the first pick at quarterback, and there was times that he was slinging it, but there is a lot to clean up in Tennessee. I just don't think the coach is up first to get fired out of this list.
I would have to say Dable. I think the Giants are
right.
So frustrated, and again, when you look at what they have on the field, they have every piece you would need to at least be a contending team in the NFL. And now with Cam Scatterbo actually looking like Cam Scatterbo.
With Tracy out.
Yeah, and Tracy out. I think that they're going to be fine in the run game as well. So really, I think that
they hold off on Dart?
I don't think so. I think you're right. We'll see him sooner rather than later, but I don't know. I was sitting there watching the game last night wondering, will we ever see Dable running an offense where Jackson Dart is the quarterback? Will we ever see that? Because essentially that's what you drafted Jackson to come in to be, is to be Dable's quarterback. But are we ever going to see it? Are we going to are the Giants going to allow this to happen, have another bad year just to sit around and wait for Jackson Dart to be ready to play? Personally, what we saw in the preseason might be a good indicator that he's ready. I don't think so. I don't count for preseason play as really good indicators of what you'd see in the regular season.
It's just like joint practices. But I looking at the schedule, I think they might hold off another week because the Chargers are coming to New York this week. I think they'll probably throw in Russ for another week, and then they play the Saints in New Orleans. So that might better be for at least the health of Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I think the Saints are a safer pick to actually go up against for a young quarterback too. But again, it depends on how long Dable wants to hold on to his job, because I genuinely believe the two are connected at this point. Because if they go 0-4, 0-5, let's say the Saints somehow beat the Giants in week 5, and they go 0-5, you don't think Brian Dable is going to get fired after that? And we'll never see Brian Dable and Jackson Dart together? We're going to just see
that might be
waiting.
The smartest.
Honestly, it might, but we'll see.
But we're talking about the Giants.
Exactly. And honestly, the Giants are much like the Miami Dolphins right now, in my opinion. If you're going to fire one, you got to fire the other. Get rid of the GM too.
Yes, please.
You have to at this point. Again.
And I think Miami, I think he's safe if they can beat the Jets this week.
Right.
I think if they go out and lay an egg and look like what we saw in week 1 against the Colts, I think they're all gone.
Is Tyrod Taylor the starting quarterback this week?
They haven't said yet, but I know he's still
Which one would you rather see,
protocol.
though? Because Tyrod looked solid, too.
And Tyrod's ripped us apart in the past. So.
I know. I mean, it's a weird spot to be in if you're Miami, but it's also a very weird spot if you're the Giants. I think both, though, if you move on from the head coach, I think the GM is they were right behind him. I genuinely believe so.
I think they should have fired him this week, but...
well, again, you had a long week to figure it out, too, but I think they are going to give McDaniels the benefit of the doubt.
Let him run the rest of the season and put a plan together.
Well, I mean,
I could see that, too.
He didn't exactly play call you guys out of the game on Thursday, right?
No.
Like, he made the right calls, just the players didn't necessarily play to the potential.
I think it's just that bad taste in our mouth from week 1.
Fair. Absolutely.
But to go back to your question, I mean, are the Colts the real deal?
I mean, yeah, that's the other question. 3-0 now, and the Colts dismantled the Tennessee Titans. Not to anybody's real surprise, mind you, but looking at what they have going forward compared to the two competitors, and again, the Houston Texans now 0-3 after losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars over the weekend. The Jags 2-1. The Colts have at LA Rams. Then they played the Vegas Raiders at home, the Arizona Cardinals at home, and then they head back to SoFi to play the Chargers in the next 4 weeks. They could potentially win 2 out of those 4, be 5-2 here 7 weeks through the season. I think that's a pretty dang good start for the Indianapolis Colts for a team that we didn't think was going to be real at all. But again, if you see Daniel Jones go 5-2, and you see Saquon Barkley essentially go possibly 6-1, 7-0 with the Philadelphia Eagles, yeah, I'd be booting Dable and that GM right out the door in New York. I genuinely would. And I think the media would be the first one with pitchforks and torches to get them out of the city. We got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. We'll get to more stuff on the other side of this break. There's plenty of NCAA football to talk about, as well as the Oklahoma Sooners barely made it away from the Auburn Tigers over the weekend. We'll let you know what happened there. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.